Breaking the news that's already broken. It's time for Prospector's Briefs on Rock 107.
The Pope may step down due to health problems. Yes, the Vatican will replace him with Ryan Seacrest. A new documentary will chronicle Ozzy Osbourne's health battles as he prepares for his final performance. It'll serve as Ozzy's goodbye to his ability to make money for Sharon. Kathleen Kennedy will step down as the head of Lucasfilm, so now Disney begins its search for the next exec to copy the first 3 Star Wars movies for the next generation.
Prospector ruins everything, even the news. Tune in tomorrow for Prospector's Briefs on Rock 107.
It's Prospector Show on Rock 107. Good morning, I'm Prospector.
Good morning, I'm Kate. Penn State University identified 12 Commonwealth campuses for potential closure due to financial pressures and declining enrollment, but not the biggest ones like Harrisburg or Lehigh Valley.
You know which ones are safe, right? The big ones, like you mentioned, Abington, Altoona, Harrisburg, they get to stay because they're the real campuses. They got dorms, facilities. They got drunk kids vandalizing the neighborhood.
A group of leaders will recommend which campuses to close. While not all 12 campuses can continue, many will. Penn State will close some campuses, but students enrolled in the 2+2 program can complete their first 2 years at any of the open campuses.
Meanwhile, the little branch campuses, you got 6 classrooms, a vending machine. A dude named Carl has been teaching business ethics since Carter was in the White House. Nobody's partying at Penn State Scranton, right? They're just going to get their car started in the winter if they can and get the hell off campus. So those schools might be going away, maybe.
There are a lot of reasons for the closures: declining populations in the areas where campuses are located, and state funding for the state-related universities like Penn State has remained flat despite requests for increases.
Sure, of course. Blame the state. Oh, funding's been flat for years. Maybe because you're running 19 separate schools away with the same number of students as used to fit in one dorm at main campus. Maybe you don't need a separate chancellor for Penn State Chinago or Penn State Backwater or Penn State Knoxon. Maybe that's not what we need.
The decision will be made before spring commencement. Faculty and staff at closing campuses will be reassigned, and students will have clear academic pathway to complete their degrees at Penn State.
Bottom line, if you're in Hazleton, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, you might want to start looking at a community college, because if school is also named the regional airport, chances are it ain't making the cut. America is no longer in her Joanne Fabrics era. It's Prospector Show on Rock 107. And Kate, Joanne has been struggling in major ways recently, and now they're just throwing in the towel.
Joanne Fabrics announced it's going away forever, including the ones in Edwardsville and Dixon City.
Fortunately, Joanne Fabrics customers didn't have their miracle ears in to hear that. But once they do find out, well, maybe they can cope with today's list of top 5 things Joanne Fabrics customers can think about to feel better about their favorite store closing. Here we go. Number 5, Metamucil now comes in berry flavor.
Top 5 things Joanne Fabric customers can think about to feel better about their favorite store closing. Number 4, Kathy Bates Matlock is just as sharp as Annie Griffith's Matlock.
Yes, she is. Number 3, tonight's bingo night.
Top 5 things Joanne Fabric customers can think about to feel better about their favorite store closing. Number 2, your great-great-grandson always calls on Sunday afternoons.
And the number 1 thing Joanne Fabrics customers can think about to feel better about their favorite store closing: malls are so empty nowadays, you got no problem getting your laps in. There you have it. Oh, Christina Ricci from Yellow Jackets. Is that the show, Kate?
Yes.
Yeah, she says this band wasn't cool ever. I think I disagree. I like live. Northeast PA's classic rock. Rock 107, it's Prospector Show on your Burger Mania station. And Kate, it's important, I think, for us to understand each other a little better.
Well, we can strive to do that if we spend a little time in each other's heads.
So let's start with the ladies on Rock 107.
And now it's time for another episode of 1 Minute Inside a Woman's Head.
I'm so glad I got my taxes done early. I'm a firm believer in getting on it before it becomes a problem. Unlike my sister, who should have got on birth control before her senior prom. And I did everything right, too. I mixed the pages up, glued them together, and added about 20 staples. I paid my balance with a third-party check, all except the last $1, which I paid in foreign coins. I signed every page and included a letter of appreciation, which will all have to be individually read, dated, and stamped. And I mailed the whole thing off in a giant box, almost the size of my sister's prom dress. I guess I shouldn't be mean or make jokes. After all, it's a life-changing mistake that you just can't undo. Yep, working for the IRS can ruin a person's entire future.
And that was another episode of 1 Minute Inside a Woman's Head.
So if you hear that and you're thinking, well, what's up with Prospector and Kate? Why are they always making fun of women?
Calm down. The men get their comeuppance after the break on Rock 107.
Yeah, it's the Prospector Show here on Rock 107. And Kate, before the commercials, we did something that just made my wonderful heart feel warm.
Spent a minute inside a woman's head.
Now it's time for the other perspective.
But a man's attention span is so much shorter.
And now it's time for another episode of A Few Seconds Inside a Man's Head.
Oh, don't tell me that was today. Was that today? Damn it. Don't tell me it was today. Hey, look at her. Yeah, mama.
And that was another episode of A Few Seconds Inside a Man's Head.
Life's pretty tough right now. There's plenty of bad news, but it's not all bad. It's time for the brighter side of Prospector on Rock 107.
Hey, keep dreaming. A guy in North Carolina had a dream last week that he'd win $110,000 in the lottery. Then he woke up the next day and won exactly that amount, $110,000.
Thanks. We needed that. The brighter side of Prospector on Rock 107. Ladies and gentlemen,
Northeast
grab the
PA's
kids, call your neighbors, and gather around the radio.
It's now time to announce the winner of Prospector's Jam Bag of the Day, as decided by you at rock107.com.
We uncover the most baffling, ridiculous, pathetic, cockeyed, laughable, preposterous blunders in the world of misdeeds. Nominee number 1.
This guy might want to transfer to another school after this. A college kid in China is making headlines after he accidentally started a fire in his dorm while trying to hide his sex doll from a roommate. Apparently, he had his inflatable girlfriend out when his roommate came home. It's not clear if he was in the middle of a love sesh or not, but he snuck her out in the hallway and tried to destroy the evidence by setting her on fire. The hallway filled with smoke, which set off a fire alarm, so instead of his roommate finding out, everyone did. A security guard called the fire department. Luckily, no one was hurt, and it didn't cause a ton of damage.
Nominee number 2.
It's only deja vu if you remember it, right? Some idiot in Olympia, Washington got 2 DUIs in 2 nights after crashing his car in the same spot twice. A woman called 911 last Sunday at 9:47 p.m. after a guy crashed into her parked car. She said he seemed drunk, and, well, he was. According to a breathalyzer, he hit a .31, almost 4 times the legal limit. Cops arrested him and released him the next day. Then a few hours later, he did it again in the same spot at the exact same time. Cops were dispatched to the same intersection at 9:47 p.m. again. The only difference was he didn't hit a car this time. He crashed into a tree stump in someone's yard. The same 2 cops arrested him after he blew a .3. The judge upped his bail to $50,000, and the sheriff posted about it on Facebook, said he's not sure if duplicate crimes like this have ever happened in the history of modern policing.
And the winner is
the drunk driver who crashed in the same spot 2 nights in a row at 9:47 p.m. You are the Yam Bag of the Day, and we'll move on to Friday's Yam Bag of the Week competition. Keep it here for all the nominees for Prospector's Yam Bag of the Day, weekday mornings on Rock 107. Thanks for listening to Prospector's Prime Cuts podcast. Be sure to catch us live weekdays from 5:30 to 10 a.m. on Rock 107 or online at rock107.com or the Rock 107 app, a free download for your Android or iPhone. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss Prospector's Prime Cuts.